All right, we're now joined by Okeke, who is a former vice chair of the Transition Monitoring Group and a RISE analyst and lawyer. Dr. Sam Amadi joining us, both of you gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. First off, let's start off with your observation of today's balloting process. Well, President Muhammadu Buhari did promise. He said he was going to leave a legacy of free, fair and credible elections. And we heard from INEC repeatedly tell us, we are ready, we're ready, we are ready. Let me come to you, Okeke Anya. What are your thoughts about today's voting?
Okay, thank you very much. The issue of today's voting is that citizens came out in their numbers to exercise their franchise, and there were a lot of hiccups from the side of INEC in terms of delivery of materials. Our organization, Transition Monitoring Group, had observers in almost all the 774 local government areas. Yes, in some areas it went smoothly, and in some areas, even what INEC acknowledged that there were hiccups. So generally, we are still studying the situation. Reports are still coming in from our own end, and we cannot fully make a categorical statement to say this is how it has been concluded. But by and large, I think we need to commend Nigerian citizens. They were ready for this election. They came out, and unfortunately, those hiccups that that has been reported both by your media and some other media houses and institutions are actually the things that we observed in the field.
Let me bring in Dr. Sam Amadi here, and now very quickly, let's talk about what we've seen so far. Not just the president, but 3 of his aides also did show how their balloting went. Help us make sense of what the Electoral Act, your lawyer, says about this.
I think first, a very regrettable error or deliberate mischief. I don't know. I mean, it's bizarre for the president and his key officers to show their votes, and you can see how the crowd reacted. So that's basically campaigning. Now, we are doing a secret ballot, and the essence of secret ballot is not just so that nobody sees you vote. The whole essence is that people don't see who we are voting for, and then it creates a domino effect. We used to have option A4, where people line up, and it could actually lead to crisis. It can lead to crisis, for example, where people who are notables in community line up, and people have tendency, the cost of doing otherwise is high. So what the president did actually was open campaign at the time that the Electoral Act has closed all forms of campaign. We recall in 1993 when Chief Emeka Abiola wore a SDP dress with a faint horse, SDP horse. It was a big issue because he didn't talk to anybody, he wore it to vote. And that dress that had the party insignia, even though very faint, was constituted some kind of passive electoral offense. So I think the president acted disgracefully and irresponsibly if he knew what he was doing, and others who did so the same. Because look, it can't come to an election you are conducting where you have made effort to be free and fair, and then you vote and show to a large crowd of over 500. And look at that word. What came out result was almost like 500 votes for his party, APC. And so it freezes. I mean, people look up to the president for a homeboy. Our president, and it shows you, guys, this is what I voted for. That can be constructed as a campaigning. It violates secrecy and it's undue influence on voters. And then that's really sad. Again, back to outcome today, like he said, we've seen voters patient. My wife left by 5 o'clock in the morning. As at 6, 7, 8, she was still waiting to vote. INEC failed bigly. If you look at places like Ubogoro in River State, 700 voters, no voting at all. A few places like that, the Electoral Act says, well, if those votes numerically do not constitute a problem to victory, to anybody's victory, INEC will go ahead. But basically, disenfranchising citizens, maybe tactically, why would a polling unit with 700 voters in Obiabo in Rivers State not have the opportunity to vote till now. No voting, no nothing. I mean, that's a scandal of election. So it's surprising that INEC gets all this funding, INEC gets all this support, INEC gets all this international support. And every day, INEC becomes even less efficient than they were. Look at today, we can't upload the results. Why? Hitches. This is elections off-season, you upload nowhere in the country. So it really, look, after this election, INEC should be unbundled and reconstituted. It's terribly inefficient and very corrupt.
Okay, you just heard what Dr. Sam Amadi said there about INEC's inefficiency, not just on the issue of uploading, information on the portal. We're expecting that already. This is hours after the election ended and nothing yet on that score. I would like you to address that and the fact, as far as you're concerned, would you say that INEC truly was prepared for this election? I mean, considering the things that have unfolded today.
Yeah, I think most of the issues for us was that INEC was going to upload these results. And this was when Nigerians were talking, when the electors were talking, they were so happy that results are going to come real time. I think, like Dr. Amadi said, INEC has failed in those areas because if, for example, if people that voted are no longer seated there, seeing these results being uploaded, they cannot be sure that what will later come in is what they really saw at the polling booth. And I think the whole question of INEC not doing this has really, questioned the integrity of the election. Because in so many ways, in so many areas, in so many places where people did not have time to vote, people received reports that INEC materials were coming in around 2 p.m. In some places, INEC even owned up that they did not even bring up materials at all, especially in Abia and Imo, where the chairman himself owned up that they were unable to deliver materials. So why were they unable to deliver materials? There were so many assurances from INEC that they were ready, but today has shown that they were never ready. And those people that were even touting that INEC wanted to postpone the election, I think it is coming to fore that maybe they knew that things were not properly okay, but because of pressure, they just had to continue this election. So by and large, I think we just pray that Nigerians will be patient, look through and watch out what is going to happen. But I think by and large, the integrity of the election is already a bit in question, because those things that citizens expected to be done to give sanctity to this election is actually so much missing.
Let me bring in Dr. Sam Amadi. Nigeria would have thought that there's some kind of positive evolution in its election process with Mahmoud Yakubu and his team. You heard him a while ago, and some elections have been suspended. Would you have expected more places in the country to have the same suspension of election rather than a few we've seen?
A good question. I think, look, if you look at Imo State, for example, as at 11 o'clock, I had sent out tracers to everybody. I said, look, report to me. I gave the hashtag, and I got reports, 11, 12 o'clock, election supposed to start and end by 2:30. As at 1 o'clock, people, no INEC staff in Mbieri, Obazo, and several other places. So the point is, why would INEC do this? Again, look at Jega did election in 2015. That's like 8 years today. And Jega did an election that was adjudged credible. There could be small issues. 8 years, Mahmoud had the opportunity to ramp up technical efficiency, institutional integrity. But I can say clearly that he actually went downwards. In terms of technical efficiency, we saw card reader malfunction in few places in 2015, but now we are seeing that even some places, governors refuse elections to hold. There have been issues before now about black spots in terms of security. There has been issues in Lagos, for example, about the Commissioner Rec, who evinced clear bias and prejudice and conflict of interest. And INEC did nothing. So the problem is this. This is not rocket science. This is simple project management. If INEC had 5 people who had enough competence, they can map out delivery of supplies. I mean, look, we're talking about election. In fact, if you commission US Postal or commission any of the logistic companies in the world to run this election, don't interfere. They will deliver clear elections, meaning first, materials will be there, pools supposed to open by 8 o'clock, and many places up to, I guess, I can give a guess, up to a quarter of the units didn't start up until 12. In some places, Kaduna, where we send people, Abuja School was monitoring all these things, looking at the reports from internet, there were places that people started getting educated by 11, 12, 1, 8 o'clock. So what is this nightmare that we can't deliver simple logistics? So I put it down to 2 things. One is, look, corruption. Corruption. We saw it do the pre-election, when they did primaries. INEC just scattered everything. The courts are now the ones choosing winners. We see it in inefficiency to do the basic things. And the worst thing is that because INEC has the support of civil society, there's some kind of romance going on here. They don't call them out. I think that Mahmoud actually failed and should be called out. If you had Jega's good enough election, and 8 years, you can improve in one aspect, logistics. Get the supplies down. Make sure pools open 30 minutes or 1 hour at most difference across the country. In short, now, I've already counted about over 10, 12, 15 different polling units where election never held. Now, you go and declare a winner because the law says mathematically, if you can't change the figures. Now, if you declare a winner, and then those people will now vote only for Senate and House of Reps. That's not what we intend to have in a free and fair election. Look at the international community here. Look at the whole big spend on education, on everything, logistics. INEC run up and down everywhere. Our brother, the director of information in INEC, everywhere on television, we are ready, we are ready. And this shambolic performance after 8 years and billions going to INEC. I think INEC should be called out, INEC should be audited financially, and INEC people should be held accountable if, as we are seeing, we're going to run into crisis in this election.
We'll have to say thank you very much, Dr. Sam Amadi, Arise News Analyst, and Okeke Anya, former Vice Chair of the Transition Monitoring Group. Thank you so much for joining us.